Welcome to the Fit 15 podcast show, where you'll find health and fitness inspiration, motivation, and information shared in 15-minute episodes. Tune in while getting a move on to make leading and enjoying the benefits of a healthy lifestyle almost too easy. It's the Fit 15. And now your host, Catherine Basu.
Welcome to the Fit 15 podcast show. I'm your host, Catherine Basu, in London, getting ready to cheer on my client, Meredith Rice, and today's guest, Dave Bloomquist, who was also on the show yesterday to talk about his journey from couch potato to marathoner. So if you missed that episode, go ahead and pause today's and go back and listen to that. It's full of inspiration. I definitely found myself being inspired by Dave, and I've been a runner for a long time. Today's episode is the second half of our conversation and focuses more on what Dave has found very crucial to his running journey, which is this whole idea of giving back. So running for him has not just been about accomplishing his own goals, but also giving back to the community, whether that's through fundraising for various causes through his running, or by sharing his time and experiences to help new runners. So love this idea. Want to have you continue to be inspired by Dave. And for those of you who are fundraisers, trying to finish up some fundraising for maybe the London Marathon yourself, I hope it will give you some ideas for how to do that, or just some inspiration that you can finish that fundraising goal. And no matter who you are, I do want to encourage you to donate to both Dave's fundraiser, which you can find in today's show notes, and also Meredith's fundraiser. Maybe just do a little bit, $5 one day, $5 another day. Substitute your coffee habit for that and feel good doing so and giving back to these great causes that these awesome runners have chosen to be a part of. All right, so I'm bringing back Dave. I'm going to just dive back in a little bit, rewound from our conversation yesterday. Dave is talking about the Boston Marathon, which was his second fundraising event, but part of what stuck out for him about the Boston Marathon was the fundraising component and how big that is and how impactful that is in the community. So here is Dave.
Of course, that race really, sticks out in my mind. One of my favorites. Whether, and the thing about Boston that you may or may not be familiar with is, when I ran it as a charity runner, because I had been trying to qualify, and I get close, but not close enough.
Sure.
And so I'm like, okay, I'll do this as a charity runner, and I'll run Boston. But I'm thinking, but I haven't qualified. Do I really belong there? And a little bit of doubt going on, and I couldn't believe it until I saw it for myself. I mean, the charity component of Boston is a thing. It's a big thing. There's like 4,000 or 5,000 runners running for charity.
Yeah.
And it's part of the culture and the history of that, all the money that's raised. And it's like, I do belong here. This is where I ought to be. And that was really kind of started because many of these races that I've run subsequently, and they're so difficult to get into the lottery, I've done as a charity runner. And that's turned out to be very fulfilling to raise money for these very worthy causes while still accomplishing my running goals.
Yeah, no, for sure. So now maybe that's a good segue to talk about, giving back and being a part of the community there. So that was your first race where you started raising money for, was Boston?
Yeah, I think actually it was my second. I just prior to that started getting into triathlons. So here's another story that involves my daughter.
Yeah. My
daughter, Kim, the year before, did a half Ironman. So here's a girl, never been on a bike, never swam.
Wow.
Was a runner, obviously. And she trained with Team and Training, which raises money for Leukemia and Lymphoma Society. And so she was very successful doing that. The following year, she's like, Dad, if I can do it, you can do it. And once again, the competitiveness kicked in, and I'm like, okay. And so that following year, the two of us joined Team and Training again. And it's a wonderful program because they help you train for the triathlon. So that was my first 70.3 half Ironman. raise money for team and training, and that kind of laid the foundation where, I felt comfortable. I knew how to do this, and, I could put together a plan to raise the necessary funds to meet my commitments and the like. And so when Boston was interesting because the Atlanta Track Club used to have an annual social, like a dinner event once a year, and they would auction off the one entry they had for Boston.
Oh, wow.
And the prior year, a good friend of mine had won, quote unquote, won the auction for like a commitment of $4,000, which to all of us was a lot of money.
Yeah.
The following year, I got in a bidding war with another woman, ended up winning the auction with a commitment of $9,000.
Oh, wow. Wow.
I've got all my friends at the table that are rooting me on. We got your back, Dave. You do it. I'm like, yeah. So I won this thing, and I'm like, oh my gosh, what have I got myself into? But, it's just now become kind of part of the way I approach running in general, which is all about giving back to the community, whether it's raising fund, money, or investing my time helping new runners. So I really enjoy that aspect of this running lifestyle.
Yeah, I mean, so I definitely want to dive into that a little bit more as well. But do you have any tips for runners who are, considering signing up? And because I have a client who's running London this weekend as well, and she's still working to chip away at that fundraising goal. Since you've been able to be so successful, you raised $25,000 or over that for charity. Since you've been doing that?
Over the last 5-6 years across my various runs and triathlons, over about $25,000. And I was just doing the math the other day. And I'm like, wow,
yeah.
I didn't even appreciate that it was that much. You can't be bashful. You have to be willing to go to your friends, your family, your acquaintances, people that maybe you don't really know, but you got to put yourself out there and explain why you're doing what you're doing. And, most people are inherently generous, and particularly in the running.
Sure.
And, and I run with a lot of different organizations.
Hi friends, it's Catherine, and if you are tuning in and only have 15 minutes for an out and back walk, that was your halfway point reminder. You'll want to turn around now. All right, back to Dave.
And they're very supportive of me and my efforts. So I won't say that it's easy, but if you put yourself out there and are politely persistent, these goals are usually obtainable without a whole lot of effort or concern.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I guess just keep asking and be persistent, which is what it takes to complete a marathon, right? So similar skills, fundraising and training for a marathon. So hopefully that helps the fundraisers feel confident that they can accomplish their fundraising goals in addition to their marathon goals. So Boston is maybe your favorite, would you say, out of the 6 World Marathon Majors, or?
Yeah, I think so. And a lot of it has to do with the overall conditions and the like. In Boston, at the time, the year I did it, the weather was pretty good. On the other side of the spectrum, having run Tokyo a few months ago, it was like 46 degrees and raining the entire way.
Right.
And so as much as I enjoyed Tokyo, it kind of took the edge off that.
Yeah.
New York, of course, once again, it's kind of in a league of its own, much like Boston. The spectators and running across the bridges and all the boroughs and finishing in Central Park. I mean, talk about iconic. New York is very cool. I'd love to do that again someday. Chicago. I mean, they're all great. You got New York, Chicago, Boston, Berlin, Tokyo, and then London. Berlin was nice. You run at the very finish. You run through the Brandenburg Gate. You make this left-hand turn, and you see it about a mile ahead of you. So that the end's in sight. I can't imagine something more iconic in Germany than the Brandenburg Gate. So you run through that.
Right.
But they all have unique aspects of it, and you can see why they were selected as being part of the World Marathon Majors. They're all really well-produced races and great spots to go travel and run.
Sure. That's awesome. So you're still working on finishing your fundraising efforts for London. Do you want to talk about what charity you picked? And well, I'll put the link for people too, because I mean, why not? We got to get them supporting our guests, right? So why you picked the charity that you're raising money for?
Yeah, I'm running for the Multiple Myeloma Research Foundation. Multiple myeloma is a form of blood cancer.
Mm-hmm.
And unfortunately, multiple myeloma took my uncle's life about 3 or 4 years ago.
Oh, wow.
And so, and it's a difficult disease. There are really no cure for it. They can treat it and mitigate the effects, but there's really no cure for it. And the Multiple Myeloma Research Foundation is investing to find a cure. There are 10 trials currently underway that look promising. And so, I'm hopeful that in some small part, I'm able to help them advance the research and ultimately find a cure for this disease. And so I'm committed to raise $5,000 for this organization. I'm currently about $4,000, so I'm optimistic that between now and the race on Sunday that I'll make my $5,000 commitment. But once again, I appreciate the opportunity to ask your audience to pitch in. And the way I look at it is if I just get 100 people each to donate $10, I'm done.
I know. No, that's, listeners, make sure if you're enjoying the show, because I don't have any sponsors for the show yet, so we don't have any ads, so they should consider doing that. Well, technically I have, not everyone listens to every episode, but there's about 2,500 people who are subscribers on one platform. So I don't know, guys, let's rally together.
That's another interesting thing about fundraising is that a lot of people are kind of, I don't know, they're reluctant because they think that they have to do a large amount of money, $50, $100, whatever. And I'm always, appreciative of those who have the luxury to donate that kind of money. But, in my mind, somebody who gives me $10, I just need a lot of $10 donations.
Right.
It doesn't have to be, a few big donations. I'd rather receive it, from a lot of people, a lot of friends and acquaintances, even if it's just $10. So part of it, actually, I think the success is lowering the bar so people appreciate that, $10 is still, $10, and you get enough people to do that, and you'll, meet your goals and the like.
Yeah.
So, I have something called $10 Tuesdays.
Oh, that's cool.
And I made a mistake a couple of weeks ago where I said I would match every $10 donation personally. And I'm thinking, okay, 10, 15 people, $10, $150, okay, I can do $150. Well, it ended up there were $460, and nobody donated $10. It was all 25 and more, and I'm like, now what?
Oh my gosh, that's so funny.
$10 donations, but now that's not what it turned out to be. So I kind of sucked it up and wrote a check for $460 to match every donation I received that day. But I'm still promoting $10 Tuesdays, though. So So tomorrow, let's make it happen.
Yeah, no, for sure. That's so funny. The psychology of figuring that out and how people donate. That's see. Well, now I will tell my client not to do the matching. Maybe, I don't know, unless it's like a small amount. I don't know.
Whatever works.
Oh my goodness. Well, super cool. Okay, so you've gone through. I mean, I'm just so impressed by your whole journey, and kudos, great relationship that you have with your daughter, that she was able to, inspire you on that dare to get started, and then to go on to not only do marathons, but also, the triathlons, and not just triathlons, but these half Ironman distances. But you even become a coach. So do you want to talk a little bit about that for the listeners, people listening who maybe whatever level they're at,
how to get some motivation and get going, based on what you've seen working with other runners yourself.
Sure. As I mentioned earlier, I had the opportunity as a participant to train with the Atlanta Track Club in their in-training for Peachtree program. Mm-hmm. And then as my daughter and I continued our running journey, the track club has programs pretty much year-round for the different distances. Mm-hmm. So they have a half marathon training program and then a full marathon training program. And so we went through that progression with the Atlanta Track Club. And once we had pretty much done that, then I wanted to give back because they had literally turned my life around.
Yeah.
And I mean that in all sincerity. And so I came back and continue to come back. They used to call us coaches. Now it's called run leads or crew chiefs. Mm-hmm. But I continue to come back season after season to invest my time and energy with other people that are just starting their running journey. Mm-hmm. And, I'm just an example, but I like to hold myself out. If an overweight couch potato can do this, then most anybody can. It's one leg in front of the other. Mm-hmm. And as long as you're willing to invest the time, there's no reason that you can't accomplish your goal, whether that's to walk your first 10K mm-hmm. or to run a full marathon. So I really enjoy giving back to the community and helping others start or improve upon this running journey.
No, I love that. And I guess, for me, one thing, because I've been a runner for more of my life than I haven't. So it's something that I want to share with other people, kind of as you mentioned, because it's changed my life, even though, I wasn't necessarily a couch potato because I started so young that it was, I hadn't had different habits. But if I hadn't found running, I could see that would have maybe been a possibility for me because I hated gym class. So that was kind of the only thing I really, could I'm like, I don't really like fitness.
Me too, actually.
Right. But I guess what really got you, so you did the first one on the dare, but could you speak to what kept you? Is it the relationship with your daughter, or what was it about running that kind of sucked you in that got you to keep going?
Well, part of it is the competitiveness. Mm-hmm. And as I ran more and became more confident and, a little better conditioned and the like, I went from somebody who was running a race and admiring the people that were placing in their age group to somebody that had a chance of placing in their age group. Mm. And, truth be told, I just aged up last year. Aging up is a wonderful thing. It's the one advantage of getting older.
Right? Yeah, becoming a runner, we don't have to worry as much, right?
You go from becoming the oldest in your age group to the youngest. Mm-hmm. And I'm definitely taking advantage of that. I run a lot of races, whether they be 5Ks or 10Ks, and enjoy now the competitive aspect to see if I can place in my age group, and that's a big part of it. I just enjoy, and if I'm not necessarily placing, then the question is, how am I performing? Do I feel like I've given it my all and the like? So a lot of it is the competitive aspect, and then there's a voice in the back of my mind that says you got to keep doing this because you don't want to go back to where you were. Right, I don't want to go back to the Dave of 10 years ago. That wasn't pretty.
Sure.
So that's probably what gives me the motivation day after day to continue to train, and stay fit.
Yeah.
And work out.
Now, do you think, obviously your physical appearance, changed from over the past 10 years, but anything, else you could share about how the experience has changed you, just how you've become a different Dave after finding running and I guess, racing in general, because you've also done the half Ironman distances and become a triathlete as well. So.
Yeah. It's instilled a certain self-confidence that I may not have had in the past. To start up at the starting line of any race is kind of nerve-wracking. I don't care whether it's a 5K or a marathon.
Right.
And you look around and the adrenaline gets going. And, the first races I did, I was entirely intimidated by everybody around me. And I assumed everybody else was an experienced runner, and I was the only newbie in the group. But, of course, that's never the case. But
right.
And your brain tends to think that way. But, over time, I become very comfortable with the person that I am, and I work out a lot. My wife thinks I'm kind of over the top that way. But, the older I get, frankly, the more I have to invest in my fitness, particularly, doing cross training and working on my core and the like. And so it's just a constant effort, but one that makes me very comfortable, in my own skin with who I am and my overall health fitness level.
Yeah, I love that. Super cool. Well, definitely encourage everyone listening to, if they haven't started running yet, consider it, because there's a lot. I feel like a lot of the benefits you can't really put into words, but I appreciate you, sharing your experience with everyone.
Yeah, sure. We just started 2 weeks ago in training program for Peachtree.
Mm-hmm.
And the track club does a great job because we have multiple sites throughout Atlanta. So any given Saturday morning, you can find a location that's not too far from where you are. And we embrace everybody. I mean, literally everybody. If your goal is to walk the 10K, then we will help you get to that level of fitness where you can walk that. If it's to do intervals and the like, we'll get you there, or to run it faster. But it's really rewarding when you see somebody progress and follow the same path. There was a woman probably 3 or 4 years ago that was in the in-training program. I helped her run her 10K and her first half marathon. And then she continued to keep at it and go even further. Now she's doing ultra marathons and the like.
Oh, wow.
And I bow down to her because,
Yeah.
She's out running 50 and 100-mile races. And I'm like, I thought 26.2 was hard.
Right. Wow.
So you see somebody,
cool.
Go through that transition and once again, really changed her life.
Yep.
That's so meaningful when you see that you are in some small part having that kind of positive effect on people.
Yeah, for sure. That's awesome. So you hopefully, this weekend you're going to be in London and, have a great race. Hopefully all will be awesome and you'll have London checked off, and that'll be the 6th World Marathon Majors. What's next, in terms of your running plans or anything going on?
Yeah, I'm looking forward in London to getting my 6-star medal. I didn't even know that this thing existed until I think I'd finished my second of the 6 World Marathon Majors, which I kind of did. I did Chicago. I got in through the lottery, and then Boston, through the track club, and then it's like, somehow I started hearing about the 6, and I got 2, and what would it look like to finish up the series? And so, it's been a lot of time, effort, money. Yeah, fair amount of money, that's for sure. But now the end's in sight, and I'm really looking forward to, you get that medal when you finish the race. And so you walk away at the finish with that medal in hand. And I've seen the pictures of people that have received that, and I can't imagine how emotional it's going to be.
Yeah.
When I get that, knock on wood, on Sunday morning.
Yeah, for sure. Oh, that's going to be very.
And then beyond that,
exciting.
I'm working on the 50 states half marathon endurance challenge. So I want to run a half or full marathon in all 50 states. So that's my next goal.
Awesome. How many have you checked off so far?
I think I'm at 39.
Oh, okay. So you're pretty far along that goal too.
Yeah, I'm on my way. I've got some weekends later this year where I can do back-to-back half marathons in 2 different states on the same weekend.
Yep.
Oh, wow.
So I've got a couple of those scheduled later in the year. So I'll knock off at least 4, maybe 5 new states towards the end of the year.
No,
We'll
that's
work
cool.
at that. Yeah, I'm saving Hawaii and Alaska to the end because that's going to be kind of my reward for.
Yeah, I was going to say, which ones do you have left? And I'm sure you're part of so many communities that you probably have good advice on which ones to run. But are there any states that you're like, I don't know which one to run that maybe the listeners could help out with? Or
Well, New Mexico is a bit of a challenge. There aren't as many races there as there are in some other more populated states.
Yep.
And then you want to get the time of year right.
Right.
So I haven't figured out exactly how I'm going to fit New Mexico into my schedule. If anybody's got any ideas on that, I'm open to suggestions.
Okay. Yeah, no, definitely that would be cool. Now so now I have to ask you too, had you been a big traveler before you started running so much, or?
Yeah, during the course of my career, I've traveled quite a bit.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I've been all, excuse me, I haven't been all 50 states. I've been to 49 states. I haven't been to Alaska. Mm-hmm. So I used to travel. So that's very familiar to me. And some of for these races, I just go out on a weekend. I remember going out to Portland, Oregon on a Friday and coming back on a Sunday after the race. It's kind of what you got to do.
Right, to get some of them in. Challenge. Yeah. No, that's cool. Because did you ever envision though traveling the world to run? Starting out as a couch potato, right?
No, I remember that. I mean, just marathons in general kind of seemed like far-fetched.
Right.
When I was in the first program for the first 10K, and one of our coaches had just finished a marathon, and I thought he was a Greek god. I'm like, really? That is so cool. I know somebody who's run a marathon.
Right.
I was just so awestruck that, so to turn around and 10 years later be here running my 31st is quite a change for sure.
Yeah. Oh, that's awesome. Well, I'm excited for you for this weekend, and we'll definitely share out, to make sure people try to get even their $10 on the Tuesday in for the fundraiser. And then now, just make sure I have this right. How long after? Not that we want them to wait, but if they're hearing this a little later than the actual London Marathon, how far do you have to raise the money?
No, actually, Multiple Myeloma Research Foundation, I believe, will keep the donation site, the webpage, up for a month after the race.
Okay.
So if people are hearing this, if they're listening to this after the race is over, there's still an opportunity, and it'd be much appreciated if they wanted to give, even though the race might be over. It's just such a worthwhile cause that I'd very much appreciate any donation over the next few weeks.
Yeah, for sure. Well, Dave, I really love having you on the podcast. I mean, maybe we need to get your daughter on at some point to share her side of the story. I don't know.
I don't know about that. She might tell stories. I'm not sure, but we can talk about it. But I've really enjoyed being on your show. I've listened to a number of your podcasts.
Oh, nice.
What you do for this community is really important and beneficial. So, kudos to you for you and your success, your training program.
Thank you. Yeah, I just gotta, kind of pay it forward, right? I'm similar to you where, if things had gone a little differently, I might not have found running and not been into fitness. I feel like it's very ironic that I've made my career is in the fitness industry. So gotta pay it forward, get people to just get out there, start walking, just start enjoying those benefits. So I appreciate you saying that.
It's one step in front of the other,
Yes.
I'm not very coordinated. I wouldn't make a good baseball player, but I can put one foot in front of the other.
Oh my goodness. So now if you want to keep following your journey and see you with that 6-star World Marathon Majors medal on Sunday, where can they go to find you?
I'm not a huge social media person, but sure. I am a Facebooker.
Okay.
So if people want to search for me, David Bloomquist, I have 1,000 or 1,200 friends. So what's a couple thousand more? So,
right.
And I kind of have this running joke with my running and cycling friends and all this that it's not on Facebook. It didn't happen. So there will be plenty of pictures of me with that 6-star medal.
Very cool.
People want to seek me out there.
Thanks for listening to the Fit 15. For show notes and more, visit fitarmadillo.com/podcast. See you next time.
Hi, friends. It's Catherine. A few reminders for you. 1, today's episode was part 2 of my conversation with Dave. Part 1 was very inspiring, and if you missed that, you don't want to miss it altogether. So make sure you go back. First thing you do after donating to Dave's fundraiser is listen to that episode. I also wanted to encourage you to check out the webpage fitarmadillo.com/London Run. I am hosting a pop-up fun run and fundraiser for my client Meredith while we are in London. So if you're going to be around London and want to check out our route and maybe run with us or do it on your own and get your sparkly finisher's medal as a reward for donating at least $26.2 to her charity, I would love to reward you with that and have you be a part of our fundraising efforts there. All right, guys, hope you're having a wonderful week. To maybe see you in London, whether you're a spectator or a runner. If you are a runner, you want to maybe head back to my episode with Lizzie Greminger. Actually, her episode's useful for runners and non-runners alike, spectators as well. So head back to that episode, check that out. I will link it in the show notes. And I wish all of you running London, whether it's your first marathon like Meredith or your 6th star like Dave, my guest today, or maybe just another marathon, which sounds silly to say, but whatever reason you're running, I hope you have a wonderful race. And I look forward to sharing a new episode with you tomorrow if you subscribe to the show. Happy running. Bye.